Hey everyone, Mike from Just Watch back with another Just Watch review. Today we are excited to be bringing you one of the new Seiko Save the Ocean series of dive watches, and let me tell you, this watch is absolutely stunning. I really love the dial on this and also the little color touches. We'll get into those in a second, but just look at that gradient on the dial. It goes from that really light blue all the way down, simulating the depths of the ocean, which I think is a really cool thing for Seiko to do, and also the fact that they are donating some of the proceeds from this to helping clean up the ocean, something that is very dear to my heart as I am a surfer, definitely enjoy the ocean, and I'm one of those people that always tries to bring home more trash than I take with me, so I never leave anything, never like leaving anything behind. I hope you guys all do the same thing as well. Anyways, that is it for today's lesson and lecture. Let's get into this watch. Before we do though, let's show you what we are wearing on the wrist tonight. So tonight we are wearing what is now vintage, which is crazy as it was made in 2003, Rolex Sea Dweller. So this is the older generation. This is kind of the in-between generation. So this has the sapphire glass, but it does not have the maxi dial or case. And it has the older style Oyster bracelet clasp with the older style dive lock extension, or wetsuit extension is what I was looking for. So I really like this watch because it is kind of a transitional period for Rolex, and I definitely prefer the non-maxi case over the maxi case that they're doing now, where you have, if you look at my Rolex Submariner 114060 review that I did, the bracelet kind of comes up to the case and stops, and you have those big wide flanks, and then that continues, so it kind of kills the flow, where this watch you get just a much better flow from bracelet to the case. I'll give you more review, a deeper in-depth review on this watch in a week or two. Anyways, let's get to the subject of the evening, the star of the evening, as we'd like to say. Really like this watch. It is a big boy though, so just be aware of that going in. It is a 43.8, call it 44 millimeter diameter. That's from the 9 to the 3 across the case, excluding the crown and crown guards, of course. It is 13.5 millimeters thick, and it is 48 millimeters from tip to tip. Fit and finish on this watch is incredible. Everything about this watch is good. The crown action, the bezel action, just the overall finish as you would expect from Seiko is spot on. This is what I was expecting from the SBDC 061 that we just reviewed last week, where if you guys caught that video, I said, there were some issues with that watch, especially with the mechanics of the bezel, where it was clearly defective, had to go back to the dealer. No issues at all with this one. And that actually, being a longtime Seiko fanboy, I've been going back to the mid-1980s wearing Seikos, going all the way back to my very first 6309 Turtle. So I'm happy to see that Seiko is at least getting this one right. And I think they did a fantastic job with this. Let's dig into this. So we have this gorgeous gradient dial. On top of that gorgeous gradient dial, we have our applied index markers. They are polished and beveled stainless steel with Seiko LumiBright. I think Seiko's LumiBright is world-class, very bright. I'll give you guys an overlay here so you can see exactly how bright and active it is. If anybody owns a Seiko dive watch currently, you already know what I'm talking about. You go outside, you come in, even just in the shade of your house, you can see that dial just jumping off the watch. It's a very cool feeling, something that I enjoy immensely. So just a very simple, center minute, hours, and second hands with a date complication at 3 o'clock. You have the Seiko 4R35 movement, 24 joule, vibrates along at 21,600 vibrations per hour. It's a great movement, very durable. Also because of the 21,600, it does have some shock absorption to it, which is good. And I think that Seiko builds some shock absorption, some cushioning into this case. That would be my guess with this, as well as it's actually it's actually pretty much the same size as the Turtle case, the SRP 777, 779, et cetera, et cetera. So right around that same size. That'd be anything that Seiko did build some cushion in there. If anybody actually knows that for a fact, has gone deeper into the specs on this watch than I have, please do jump in and let me know what has gone on here. Overall finish on this watch is incredible. I really like what they did with these just really strong masculine angular lugs. You can see it forms almost like a triangle. It goes down. It reminds me a little bit of like a modern stealth fighter or some of the new US Navy ships where they have just those really strong angular lines, to avoid radar detection. It's a little bit of what this watch reminds me of. Keeps a real low profile. You do have drilled lug holes on here, which is definitely a bonus as far as I'm concerned. Definitely a strap monster on this watch. I have been running it, I forgot to mention, I've been running this for the week on this Archer NATO strap. It's been really warm here in New England, up in the 90s and humid, kind of like Florida weather. So I just wanted to kind of lighten things up a little bit. This is a big, significant case, and it's also when it's on this Seiko Oyster bracelet, which is also very heavy, a 22 millimeter lug width, solid end links. You have your Seiko signed locking clasp and twin trigger deployment with stamped stainless pieces inside. Just a kind of a run of the mill if you own a $350 to $500 or up Seiko dive watch. You've probably seen this Oyster style bracelet from them before. We will, however, talk a little bit more about this significant watch. As we said, 13.5 millimeter on the NATO strap. It adds, about 3 millimeters, so it's sticking up off your wrist about 16.5. Still not a problem. I think the case kind of gives it a little bit of a look of being beefier than it actually is. It's kind of similar to the Tudor Black Bay series with those big case sides. Not a huge problem. It's, I tested it with a long sleeve shirt, and the long sleeve shirt went over it without a problem, so no issues there. Bezel on this watch is also pretty unique. Seiko did two really cool things with the bezel and with the crown. They did a different color. So it's a little bit of color contrast. I think it gives it just kind of a different look, and I really like the look of it, I have to tell you. It's a little bit of like a gunmetal, kind of a dark, almost a black, but not quite, both on the crown and on the bezel. Bezel action on this watch is perfect. If you guys go back to my SBDC 053, which is the 62 mouse reissue watch that I did back in, I think, February, at the time I said it had the best bezel action on any Seiko dive watch I'd ever reviewed. This one is right there with it. So no issues at all with the gripping, with that tool style knurling on the side, very grippy. And then the action is friction free. All you're feeling is the tactile clicks. It's 120 clicker. It's also very positive and accurate. I really like this bezel. It's probably one of the better 120 click bezels I've turned out of any brand in a while. It does have a tiny bit of slop to it when you come to the stop. You can there's a little bit of play there, but I don't find it objectionable, not at this price point at all. And the alignment on this is perfect too. And that's actually, I wanted to show you guys. You can see that chapter ring is right on, as is the bezel pip, the 12 o'clock bezel pip. So really glad to see everything aligning perfectly from Seiko once again, at least on their limited edition watches. And then your crown action on this is very solid feeling, very positive. It unscrews, and then you get that nice solid pop when you get out. So now you're in your first position where you can do your hand winding. Very nice positive feeling when you're hand winding it too. It almost feels like a really light ratcheting, a very, very light ratcheting action with just a little bit of spring tension to it. I would call it the perfect action as far as hand winding goes. You're doing something, but not too stiff, not too soft, not mushy at all. And then your second position there, you notice you have your hack on the 4R35 movement for setting, and very positive feeling for setting the time. Let's check when it starts turning over as far as time goes. So we are at 6, 8, 9. Let's see, looks like it's starting. Yeah, it's starting there, just coming up on 11 o'clock. So it's turning over during the 11 p.m. hour, and boom, right there at midnight, it's fully turned over. So that's a pretty cool thing. I like a watch that fully clicks over right at midnight. I think that's pretty cool. Let's come back to 10:10 just for aesthetics sakes. Come back in. Changing the date on this is a very positive feeling. Each number clicks right through, no problem at all. Let's come back to, actually it doesn't really matter. We'll leave it on the 15th. And then coming back in, once again, a very positive click, a little bit of a spring action there for catching that crown, and then catching that thread. There's no feeling that it wants to cross thread, no wobble or play there as you're coming back down, and then just a really nice solid feeling when you get down to the bottom. And I can't remember if I showed you the case back on this. I think I did, but I actually have done a couple of takes because I didn't like the first take. So I'll show you the case back again. It's a very typical Seiko dive watch. It is, of course, a monoblock center construction with a screw-on case back. Anybody that's seen a Seiko dive watch case back before will recognize this with the Tsunami Wave logo and the Seiko signing, special edition with the Prospex logo there. And then I didn't talk about the signing on the dial. So you have Seiko at the 12 o'clock, and you have your new Prospex logo there at the 6, automatic divers, 200 meter, and then you have your movement signing in Japan down below. So really high quality watch overall. I really am impressed with the build construction on this watch and just the overall fit and finish. And I tell you, I am happy to see Seiko hit a home run again, because I had lost a little faith in Seiko with the SBDC 061. Actually, I didn't show you guys on the wrist. Hang on, before I do the final wrap up, let's show you on the wrist. So let's take off this Rolex Sea Dweller and let's put on the Samurai. Okay, so this is the Samurai on my 7-inch wrist. You can see it's not overwhelming my wrist by any means, even on, and it does sit down nice and low, even with, you know, the NATO strap underneath. I really like the watch on the wrist, and it's with the Archer, with the NATO strap, it's just a really nice light feeling for summer. I think it's a very wearable watch. No problems there as far as it being on the wrist. So anyways, let's do our wrap up now. I definitely recommend this watch. I think at the price point, what you're getting with the movement, it's a very good quality and durable movement. And this watch strap is going to fight me coming off. Okay. So just a good durable movement. Hardlex crystal, I know people always knock Hardlex, but I'll tell you, I've owned Seiko dive watches for, I have one that's over 30 years old, Hardlex crystal. It only has a couple of marks. That thing's a hero. It has lasted incredibly well. No problems at all. I don't know about shatter resistance as compared to Sapphire, but I can tell you I've never had any issues with any Hardlex watches, and I've given some of them some very hard knocks. So like I said, overall fit and finish, 2 thumbs up. Everything about this watch, thumbs up. If you want just kind of a cool looking alternative to, the run-of-the-mills, you want to do something a little bit different from the Turtle or the Sumo, Samurai might be your watch. And then if you want to go even a little bit different from the average run-of-the-mill Samurai, the Save the Ocean version might also be your watch. Gorgeous dial, gorgeous fit and finish, and of course some of the proceeds go to a good cause. So what's not to like? All right, everybody. If this is your first time checking in, please do hit that subscribe button down below. We definitely appreciate having all new followers. We also love talking watches with you guys, so please let us know your thoughts on this watch in the comments below. And also please do hit that like button. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning into this episode. We will see you with another one soon. All right, everybody, bye-bye.